Good evening, Team Schrader 2020, and welcome back to Let's Crush COVID-19 Together. Today, we're going to talk about expectations. We're going to talk about the impact that expectations can have on us, both in a positive and in a negative way. This morning, included the definition of expectations from Merriam's dictionary as a strong belief that something will happen, or in the case of the future, a belief that someone will or certain things should happen in a certain way. COVID-19 has disrupted all of our expectations for 2020, but the positive thing is that the way that we manage our expectations and the way that unmet expectations of others impact us can make us stronger, and we can navigate these storms of all the disappointments of COVID-19, all the stormy waters that we're experiencing. I started my blog off this morning with the way you navigate the storms that life throws at you will depend on the strength of the vessel in which you travel. We've all been in the same storm, but we're not all in the same vessel. Some of our vessels are stronger than others, and some are weaker than others. But the good news is that if we pay attention to the weaknesses, we can strengthen our vessel so that our likelihood of coming out of this storm stronger, healthier, and more positive increases. So how can we do that in the area of expectations? Number one, be aware of what are your expectations. Are your expectations realistic? Are you expecting someone to do something in a certain way without being aware of whether they have the skill and the knowledge to do that? Being very open and transparent of communicating exactly what you expect, or do you expect people in your world to be a mind reader? I know that, I'll just share with you, when I first got married, my husband and I had to work on our communication. Now, bear in mind, this was 33 years ago. We didn't have a lot of the skills and the tools and the resources that young couples have now to help them adjust to coming out of two separate households with two separate cultures into a household and learning how to communicate. I would tease my husband when he would ask me if I'd done this, or have I figured that out, or have I prepared this, and would tease him that I'm not a mind reader. If you expected that you married a mind reader, you've married the wrong person. I need words. So one of the things you have to do is be aware of what your needs are, and be aware of what the other person's needs are, and communicate effectively. And different people have different ways of communicating. Before I was elected in 2012, I was trained in all areas of mediation that the state of Georgia allows. And every single training teaches mediators to rephrase and repeat, so that when you're having a discussion about expectations or what you expect somebody to be doing for you, ask them to repeat back what you've said, and vice versa. Rephrase and repeat back to someone else what they've said. And what that does is that limits the ability and the amount of miscommunication and misunderstanding. Miscommunication and misunderstanding is a breeding ground for unmet and unrealistic expectations. If you have unmet and unrealistic expectations, what happens is that you feel unheard, you feel unloved, you feel disrespected by the person that you expected to perform in a certain way. So the more you can communicate, the better it will be. The more aware that you are of what you are actually expecting, the better that things will be for you. So I came across a great article that was in Forbes in 2016. And it's by Travis Bradberry, and it's 8 Unrealistic Expectations That Will Ruin You. And his article is really talking about sort of ruining you mentally, ruining your ability to stay productive, forward thinking, positive. And I just thought it was so perfect for the storms that we are finding ourselves in right now. For example, yesterday, Governor Kemp in the state of Georgia has started to relax the sheltering restrictions and allowing some businesses to open. Well, there's a big part of our community that's very excited about that. But there's also a big part of our community that's very disappointed, very concerned that all that's going to do is allow the virus now to really have sort of a second wave. And so there's a variety of expectations and feelings that are happening right now as a result of that decision that a leader has made for our community. So this article helps sort of process that, put things into perspective, and also gives some challenges and some motivation for us to continue to forward think and to have visions and goals about what we're trying to do when we come out of this virus and we return to our community. Because part of what we can do when we return to our community is return better. Return to a better community, to being a better self, being just stronger and healthier. So one of the things that he points out at the very beginning of his article is your expectations shape your reality. If you expect perfection from someone, then they may perform at that level and they may meet your expectations. But if you don't communicate that effectively, there's always going to be a level of disappointment. Same thing with yourself. If you expect yourself to perform at a higher level and you put some motivation and you put some intention and you put some work in that and you meet your expectations, you will have a sense of fulfillment. You will have a sense that you're moving forward, of peace, of happiness, and you will be proud of yourself compared to if you have these high expectations, but you don't implement a plan to meet those expectations, then you will start feeling a sense of disappointment and discouragement. Depression sets in. So it's all about making sure that you are implementing the strategy to meet your expectations. The first expectation that he talks about to make sure that you stay on point is don't expect life to be fair. Life isn't fair. And if we can accept that life is not fair, that we have to take care of ourselves, we have to take action to make our plans come to fruition, opportunities aren't just going to fall in our lap, then we will be motivated to have realistic expectations about what we need to do to plan for our future. And so, people who expect opportunities just to fall in their lap, they're the ones that struggle with a lot of unrealistic expectations, again, that lead to the resentment, the disappointment, discouragement, and the depression. And that vicious cycle is very hard to break. But you can break that if you're intentional about moving forward. The second expectation is don't expect everybody to like you. A lot of people get frustrated or they get their feelings hurt because somebody doesn't like them. Well, not everybody's going to like you. We are a very diverse community. We have different goals. We have different objectives. We have different faiths. We have different cultures. We are just different. And when you're different, sometimes you don't like the other difference. And that's okay as long as you can be respectful in your dislike. The problem arises is when people who are very intentional about your dislike and they're rude or they're unprofessional or they're unethical. That's where the pain and the hurt starts to suffer. Well, if there's people like that in your life or in your business, in your career or in your profession, in your Rotary, in your community, you don't have to be friends with them. And you can establish strong boundaries so that you don't have any expectations of them being nice to you. You don't have expectations of them respecting you. So then you're not disappointed when they're rude to you. So when you don't expect anything out of people, you won't be disappointed. So some of us just need to embrace the fact that not everybody's going to like us. And you know what? That's okay, because as long as you're operating in a manner that is very professional and very ethical, very compassionate, and respectful for others, you can't help how other people look at you or interpret your actions or try to intimidate your position. You just need to establish strong boundaries and make sure that your expectations are realistic. Also, not everybody's going to understand you. You can communicate and use every which key and strategy of effective communication you have. But if some people don't want to hear you, if some people don't want to accept your position, there's nothing you can do about that. Like I said, if you rephrase and repeat information back to somebody and you think you have an understanding about something, and then you find out you don't, you can address it. You can address the miscommunication. You can try to repair whatever was misunderstood. But if the other party does not want to accept the miscommunication or accept the reparation of the disagreement, all you can do is move on and operate in the best manner that you can, and just understand that sometimes that happens. Sometimes your expectations of what others are hearing from you is not going to be the same as what you think you've communicated. And as long as you are professional and you're respectful about that miscommunication, then everything should be okay. Don't let someone else's disruption of your goals and vision, or your disruption of the message that you're trying to communicate, be hurtful, taken personally. It's about them. It's not about you. And if you have a understanding and an expectation that the only person that you can control is yourself, then the ability of others and their opinion to impact you will be lowered, because then you understand that they have their opinion, and that's okay. Their opinion doesn't need to make you feel any less about your opinion. So make sure you have a healthy expectation of what you're expecting out of other people. Next, when you have a goal and when you're doing anything, expect to succeed. And sometimes success is measured in different ways. Expect your children to succeed in their chores. Expect your children to exceed in an excellent manner. When you place high expectations on performances of yourself, you may not be able to meet perfection. But one of the things that I've always been told, and that I've always told people that I mentor and coached, if you shoot for the moon, even if you miss it, you're going to land in the stars. So even if you fail at something, trying, at least you've succeeded. Not trying is really where you fail. Not pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone and expecting yourself to learn something new, to embrace something new, is really another element that can be a recipe for disaster, in the disillusionment, discouragement, all of these bad emotions that we're trying to make sure that we don't embrace, and that we don't let just cloud our vision of what a positive future and what a great future we can make for ourselves. Next, don't expect people, places, or things to make you happy. Happiness is an inside job. And that's part of what we've been working on for the last 3 weeks, is our attitude, our patience, our hope. If you aren't happy with yourself, nobody else is going to make you happy. So how do you become happy with yourself? Expect yourself to act in a manner that is positive, Push yourself, learn positive things, feed your mind positive things. Stay away from the negative news. Have expectations that you are going to have a great day. Have expectations that you are going to have a great attitude. Raise your level of expectation for yourself, and I promise you, you will reach that level. You're only going to perform at the level that you push yourself to. So raise the level of expectation for your performance. You're the only one that you can control. Don't expect to change anybody else. Now, you can motivate other people. You can encourage other people. You can set the example for other people on how to improve their lives, how to be happier, how to be more joyful, how to be healthier. That's what I've been trying to do. But I can't force anybody to make any changes. All I can do is encourage other people. So I don't have unrealistic expectations that these broadcasts are going to change the world. I do have expectations that maybe one person one night might hear something that will help them, be happier, will help them be more connected with their family, will help them be more at peace, will help them be healthier physically, will help them have higher expectations so they can raise the level of their performance. So if people listening to me aren't implementing that, that doesn't mean I'm doing a bad job. All I can do is have expectations of myself to come on every day, share a little bit of wisdom and promise with all of you, and then hope that you're listening. And if you implement some of this, it's great. If you don't, well, that's okay too. So just don't make yourself miserable by expecting other people to make you happy. That's your job. Your number one job is to take care of you. So also the one of the really important things is also don't expect every day to go as planned. Flexibility, it really needs to be a part of all of our vernacular right now, all of our sort of strategies, because we can have our day planned out perfectly and then bam, life throws a bomb at you, or somebody doesn't show up for an appointment. Or I have many friends that before COVID-19 was or the restrictions were implemented, they were getting ready to open new businesses, new ministries. They had all of these people lined up, and then bam. So their expectations of opening their business and moving forward have been shut down. But this is a temporary situation, and how you process that unmet expectation really is going to determine how you move forward. So I also found another article about relationships, unrealistic expectations in relationships. And the title of it is, I Didn't Upset You, Your Expectations Did. And this is by Christy Taylor, and it's from January 27th of 2019. So, and it really talks about interpersonal relationships and how we think somebody understands us and we think somebody hears us. But then a few days later, when they've either acted on what we expected or didn't act or said something different or didn't even acknowledge what our expectations were, that our response really dictates sort of the resentment level in between that relationship. So I just want to bring it back to remind you to be aware of what are you expecting. 2, have you communicated effectively to whoever you're expecting something out of, including yourself? Have you really been thinking about preparing yourself and getting healthy for when COVID-19 restrictions are lifted and we can all unshelter, we can all return, we can all start engaging with each other? Some of my girlfriends and boyfriends put a lot of memes on Facebook about living in your pajamas. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, But I would encourage you, put on a pair of jeans and make sure that living in your pajamas hasn't allowed you to get to a size that's bigger and now you need new clothes. So just kind of have expectations that this storm is going to pass. This storm is passing. We aren't really sure at the timeline still, but we're all monitoring that. We all have flexibility. The storm is going to pass. Our vessels are going to make it through to the other side. We need to be prepared. So I want to shift a little bit now into what you can expect out of me during this re-election campaign. You can expect me to be positive and transparent. You can expect me to stand on my own leadership, my own credentials, my own character, and my own experience. You can expect me to continue to treat every individual in my courtroom with respect, dignity, and equality. You can expect me to continue to impose tough sentences when the facts and circumstances call for it. And you can expect me to continue to create strategies that improve the outcome of everyone in my courtroom. You can expect me to work towards a better community by trying to build better resources to help those that are in the justice system and to help those that aren't in the justice system. You can expect me to believe in and protect our constitutional rights, especially the right to be considered innocent until proven guilty, because I believe in it, because I've studied it, and because I'm living it. So you can expect me to continue to meet your expectations as a Gwinnett County Superior Court judge and a citizen of Gwinnett County that loves every citizen in this community dearly. So I thank you guys for meeting with me tonight. I thank you guys for examining your expectations and learning how to manage that just to prevent any disappointments. We've all experienced a few disappointments over the last few days and the last few weeks. And as we manage our expectations, we can manage our response, and hopefully we can have really high expectations of what a wonderful community we're going to have once COVID-19 is and all the sheltering requirements are lifted. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.